Good morning, everyone. So today I thought it would be really fun to do basically more or less what's probably going to turn into a 24-hour readathon, because I have 3 books that I'm super close to finishing, and other than an Irish lesson that I have in the middle of the day, I have nothing else going on. I am particularly focused on finishing these books. I also look like a scrub right now because I'm about to go walk the dog for a significant amount of time, because one of the books that I'm about to finish is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. As you can see, I only have an hour and 20 minutes left, so I have absolutely no doubt that I will finish this audiobook sometime today. These next 2 though, we'll see. The next one is The Witcher, and I have 60 pages left. I am not a particularly fast reader, so that's part of the reason why something like this can actually be a little bit challenging for me. If you watched my latest book haul, then you know that as much as I am enjoying this book, I was a little disappointed that I haven't read anything about Yennefer yet, and I wasn't sure that she would even be in the book. There's only 2 chapters left, and Yennefer is definitely being introduced, and she is just as sassy and fun as she was on the show, so I'm super excited to read onward, because I think it's getting into how Geralt the Witcher met Yennefer the Sorceress, and so that has been a very fun exchange, and it's different than how it was presented in the show. And then finally is a book that I have almost completed but not quite for like 3 months now, and that is Patrick Rothfuss's The Slow Regard of Silent Things. This is a very, very short story involving Ari, kind of a day in a life. Again, if you watch my book haul, then you know that I haven't finished this book for a reason. I have not particularly cared for it. I found it very repetitive and a little stale. However, I have like 20 pages left in this tiny book that also includes a bunch of illustrated pieces. That is my goal, to complete 3 books today, to officially mark them off of my Goodreads account, so then I can finally start on my massive, massive haul. Hello! So me and Yukon are back from our walk. You might actually be able to hear him panting. And I now only have 18 minutes left in The Assassin's Blade. I will be able to finish this audiobook probably by this afternoon. So I have about 40 minutes until my Irish class, and it's a solid 2 hours. Even though it's only noon, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about getting through The Witcher, even though I only have 60 pages left. So for the next 40 minutes until my class starts, I'm just going to read. I have to get going to my Irish lesson, but I am currently on page 324. So I have like less than 40 pages or so left, and I got through 24 pages in less than an hour. So that also, if I keep up that reading pace, makes finishing this book feel much more manageable. This last portion are the extras, so I only have this much left of the book to read, so that definitely seems very plausible, doable, almost easily achievable. Hello. So I just completed my Irish lesson, and now it's about time to walk the puppy, and I'm gonna listen to Assassin's Blade. Okay, I wanna talk about where I'm at in Assassin's Blade 2, so spoilers ahead for the entire Throne of Glass series. I just hit the part this morning, and I knew it was coming. If you've read anything about Throne of Glass and then you go back to Assassin's Blade, which is really fun because you know what's gonna happen, you know Selena's deep dark secret, but just the dread of being like, oh god, Sam is gonna die and it's going to be horrendous, and then he dies and it's horrendous. Now, the interesting thing is I've heard theories that the body Selena finds, or that Erwin takes her to, is not actually Sam, but the way it's described in Assassin's Blade, she seems pretty certain that it is Sam. I mean, she's cuddling up against the corpse, and granted, it sounds like he's super disfigured, horribly tortured and burned, so I understand where that theory is coming from, But again, listening to it, Erwin and the people who tortured Sam would have to go through a lot of work to get in some specific details about Sam, like the scent of his soap or the look of his hair that Selena recognized right away. So I'm a super big fan of that theory. I'm not sure it works with the actual context that were given in the book. And then also just the heartache of listening to Selena's inner monologue of her trying to justify Erwin and being like, he's gonna come back, he's gonna save me. If she comes to the conclusion in this book, I don't quite remember if she does or if it's later on in the series that she realizes that Erwin is the monster that got Sam killed and got her sent to Endovier, but I'm just like, oh girl. It actually really reminds me of the relationship between Rapunzel and Mother Gothel in the Disney movie Tangled. Just super unhealthy, manipulative parent-child bond with just a tinge of real love and affection is so twisted, and I think it's done really well with Erwin. Anyway, enough of Assassin's Blade that I'm hopefully about to finish soon, and then I think I'm just gonna come back and read. I am getting close to finishing up the chapter The Last Wish, and then after that there's a super short final chapter, so I'm getting close. Like I showed you guys before, I only have 30 pages left, so we'll see what happens. I will check in with you guys in a little bit. Alright guys, so during my walk with Yukon, I did in fact finally finished The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, and I'm going to talk about this book and Throne of Glass as a whole, so spoilers ahead, I guess. Reading this book actually really makes me want to re-listen to Throne of Glass. It just leaves on such an intriguing high, even though I know exactly what's gonna happen. I think even if you haven't read any of the Throne of Glass series before, just like getting your beak wet and just wanting to know what happens to Selena Sardothian, and how is she going to avenge her lover Sam, and how is she going to get through as a slave in Endovier. And it's just such an intriguing premise and setup for the next book. So in that case, I think Sarah J. Maas did such an excellent job. I thought her master Erwin, his final line in the book when he's talking to Farron, who is now the king of like the underworld or something like that, and Farron's like, you know, why did you kill this kid? Why did you set her up? And Erwin's like, I don't like losing my belongings. There's just something about the line that is so cold, and it just leaves you with such a sour note. I think one of the only possible, I don't want to say failings, but having this as like the setup for the rest of the Throne of Glass series is by the end of this book, I'm like, oh my gosh, Selena needs to find out that Erwin's the one who did this to her, and she needs to get revenge for Sam and blah, 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 blah. But really, once you begin Throne of Glass, all of that stuff, at least from my memory, you know, it's been a year since I've read specifically Throne of Glass, but all of that stuff involving Sam and Erwin, I know it was mentioned, but the story just takes a fundamentally different direction, and who her enemy is and what she focuses on really is not the king of the assassins or getting her revenge on her friend, at least from my memory. Maybe there's a little bit more of that, or I would catch more of that if I reread it, which I'm very tempted to. Now I'm going to set up my Forest app. In case you haven't seen me use it before, it is a timer that encourages you to stay off your phone, so I'm gonna set that up for an hour and then just read as much as I physically can of The Witcher. Well, I have now finished The Witcher, which is very exciting. It had a very interesting ending. I want to talk about this book further in a different video because I really need people that know a lot about The Witcher and the lore to like help me out with if I should continue, if the things that I really liked in this anthology book will continue on in this series. Anywho, I think since I'm already on a bit of a reading kick, I'm just gonna go ahead and grab The Slow Regard of Silent Things and see if I can bang out the last like 20 or 30 pages of that book too. Okay, hello. I have finished The Slow Regard of Silent Things. I didn't realize that there was quite a large author's endnote at the end of this book, and so I ended up only having like 8 unfinished pages. I did not realize I was that close to the end. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a chore than that. So that rules that I am done with these books, but I also read the Patrick Rothfuss's author note, and I'm so glad I did because it reminded me why this author drives me absolutely crazy. And he has an author's note at the beginning. He has 2 author's notes, and both of them are justifying why basically this book exists and apologizing for its existence, but also simultaneously kind of being like, I'm just a really kooky, weird guy. I know a lot of people probably won't like this book and will be disappointed by it, but also maybe it just needs a second read, but also a lot of people actually really love it. And also I'm a really good writer and I like writing about weird, interesting things. So if you're a weird, interesting person, you'll probably enjoy this book. And it's like, ugh, get over yourself. As I have made it known, it took me so long to obviously finish this book because I did not like it, Patrick Rothfuss. My dissatisfaction with it isn't because I'm a normie, as you basically imply. It's because it's boring and repetitive and nothing happens. He has something towards the end here. The truth is, I'm fond of Ari. I have a special place in my heart for this strange, sweet, shattered girl. I love her more than just a little. Same. Ari was one of my favorite characters in the Name of the Wind series, and I was really excited to have something, especially from her perspective. I love hearing her weird voice, and I wanted to know more about her, and I wanted to know more about like why she was shattered and how she was dealing with it. There's little glimpses of what happened to her, and those were by far the most interesting thing about this story, but otherwise, I cannot stress enough how boring it is. He says something too where he was like, oh, a story is supposed to have action and dialogue and have more than one character. People are gonna hate it. And it's like, I have read stories that do not fit that mold. You are not the first person to write a story that takes place with one character and doesn't have any or a lot of dialogue and is a very internal story or is a slice of life story. But generally, they're still entertaining or there's still a sense of some sort of growth. But I don't know, it just didn't give me anything. Like, I can't work from that. So anyway, at least it's done. Alright everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I finished up a bunch of my books today. It was really fun to cross those things off your list and just to have the satisfaction of finishing them, and I was really pleased with 2 out of the 3 and how those ended. But before I let you guys go, I figured I'd talk about the next few books that I'm going to be reading. So for the audiobook, I'm going to be doing, oh, I want to say it's called The Cartel by Dawn Winslow. And as for a physical read, I told you guys in my book haul that I was going to read Emma by Jane Austen, and I will do that. I have every intention of reading that, especially this summer. But before that, I actually bought a new book like the day after filming the book haul video, and I just feel it in my heart that I want to read it, and I know it's going to be a super fast, super easy read, so that's why I'm like, okay, I can sneak this in before Emma, and I know some of you are gonna laugh, so don't laugh at me, but that is Conceal, Don't Feel, A Twisted Tale by Jen Kalonita. So as you guys may or may not know, depending on how long you've been with me and my channel, I actually used to do princessing. That's where you dress up as a Disney princess to go to kid birthday parties or events. So I have a special place in my heart for Disney princesses. It is a particular weakness of mine, and I also love Frozen. It's genuinely one of my favorite movies. And so I've been seeing like the twisted tale genre, like they're just basically fan fiction, alternative universes for these princesses that get officially published. But I really like the premise of this one, which is, what if Anna and Elsa never knew each other? And it sounds like Elsa gets crowned as queen, and she has to deal with potential suitors and taking on the responsibility of royalty. But when mysterious powers begin to reveal themselves, Elsa starts to remember fragments of her childhood that seem to have been erased, fragments that include a familiar looking girl. So I hope that because it did have to go through the publishing process, that it's also really good fan fiction. I also, if I'm being honest, love the covers for these things. I think they are so cool and beautiful and whimsical and very Disney. So that's what I'm going to be reading, and I'm sure I'll be making more reading vlogs and book related videos in the future. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content in those regards. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.